was an unnerving story. And I've heard it before. Leo Buscaglia. Leo Buscaglia was a professor at the University of Southern California for almost 20 years. He was also an author. He wrote about a dozen books, and I was amazed when I found out that at one point he had 5 books on the New York Times bestseller list at the same time. Titles like Loving Each Other or Living, Loving, Learning became classics, and his book, titled simply Love, remained on the bestseller list for 20 years. I just stumbled upon him by finding videos on YouTube. After that, I went in search of books. But I'm so thankful for those videos. I look at them. I love watching him. Oh, he was an Italian man. A shock of black hair, a really nice dark Van Dyke beard. He would appear on the stage, standing behind a podium, looking every bit the college professor that he was. And then he would look at the audience, and he might begin a talk by saying something like this. Hello, my name is Felice Leonardo Buscaglia. My parents tried to use every letter in the alphabet when they were naming me. They only got halfway. But then they made the G in my last name silent, so it will never be pronounced correctly by anyone. It's not Buscaglia, it's Buscaglia. But my first name is even worse, Felice. Nobody can pronounce it correctly. I went to apply for a passport. I filled out the form, I turned it in. Then I waited. The clerk came out with his clipboard. He was looking at a room full of men, and he had no idea how to say my name. And finally, in desperation, he said, Phyllis? I don't answer to Phyllis. Everything else. So if we're talking, please just call me Leo. And about that point, that early in his talk, the handkerchief would come out and he would start mopping his brow, because he's the only person I know of that sweats more than I do. And then he would start talking. And as he would launch into a talk, he always talked about one thing: life. How to live your best life, how to find your gifts and bring them out and share them with the world. He said, why would you be given a gift if not to share it? Oh, and as he spoke, the sweat would continue. And he'd look at the audience, he'd say, now, Mama always told me, Felice, when you go out in public, you need to dress well. It shows people that you respect them, that you care for them. He says, you see, I'm here, I've got my coat, my tie. I care for you. I do respect you. But now, let's get started. And the first thing he often said was, do not hold on to fear, anger, or hurt. They will steal your energy and they will keep you from love. And then as he commenced to pour his heart out and sweat more, soon he would loosen the tie and get rid of it, then unbutton the collar. Soon the coat was off, then the sleeves were rolled up. And he left nothing. You know, he gave it all every time he gave a talk. And when he would finish, he would be soaked through. And then he'd look at the audience and say, does anybody want a hug? And it was like an altar call. Everybody got up. Leo ran off the stage and stood on the floor in front of it. And there he hugged. And the line usually went clear to the back of the hall he was speaking in and wove around. Everybody wanted to hug this man. They didn't care if he was sweaty. What they saw was how much he cared, how much he loved. I watched the videos. I love watching them. And then I asked myself, how did he become that way? How did he become so caring and so open? And then I listened to his stories, and I started to understand. This is a story Leo told about his dog. It was a Saturday morning, and it was the morning or the day of the week that I would clean up after my little dog. And so I went out into the yard and I picked up a shovel and a rake and I called my dog, Faux pas. Faux pas, where are you? And my little white dog came running. Well, I know faux pas is not a normal name for a dog, but dogs do embarrassing things. Well, I would start looking for faux pas' poops. Faux pas loved that time of day. He liked to play the hot and cold game with me. If I was getting near one of his little treasures, faux pas would wag his tail. When I got really close, hot, he would really wag his tail. Well, we went through the whole yard playing the hot and cold game. And then I was way back in the yard, place I never go. Oh, and I was looking around and faux pas was there and his tail was wagging. But I saw no poop. I said, faux pas, you're wrong. There is no poop this far out in the yard. His little tail, faster. So I went further and there was a large bush that I never tended to. And I pushed my way past it and I looked and behind it was the most beautiful rose bush in the whole yard. I didn't even know it was there. Oh, and I looked down and there was faux pas' poop, his little mess. If it wasn't for the poop, I would never have seen the rose. Oh. So don't be afraid of a little bit of a mess in life. Life is messy, but sometimes those messes lead you to the roses. I love that. And I love the fact that Leo found meaning everywhere. This is a story he told about his family. He said, my papa, Rocco Bartolomeo Buscaglia, was born in northern Italy. He loved school. But after 5th grade, his father took him out of school and took him and got him a job at a factory. The school teacher came and pleaded with him, says, please let Rocco stay in school. He's a wonderful student. We cannot. We cannot. If we do not have the wages he will earn, we will lose our family farm. And so it was. Rocco worked in that factory for years. And then he met a girl named Rosa, and they married. And they immigrated. And they settled in Los Angeles, where they eventually had 4 children. I'm the youngest. Leo would say, I'm the youngest. Our family. Oh, my papa, Rocco. He never lost the wonder of learning. Even though they only had a 5th grade education, he read everything he could get his hands on. And he wanted all of us children to go to college, to have the education that he had been deprived. But he knew his 5th grade education could never pay for that. And he devised a way to teach us to always enjoy learning. At dinner one night, just as the meal was ending, Papa, he looked at all of us and he tapped the table. He said, starting tomorrow night, when we finish eating, nobody get up. We're not leaving the table. Starting tomorrow night, I will ask each one of you children one question. What did you learn today? Leo said, after that, every day, when all of us children would gather in the bathroom to wash up for dinner, the only thing we asked each other was, what did you learn today? And if the answer was nothing, that person did not dare go to dinner without running to the family's well-used encyclopedia or atlas and learning something. One day, it was me. We were all exchanging, and I went, I haven't learned anything. I ran from the bathroom to the den, I got out the atlas, and I read until I knew enough to go to dinner. I put the atlas away, and I went to dinner. Oh, the meals at our family, at our house. I can still picture the table, piled high with pasta. Oh, so much pasta that when I was a young boy, there were times I could not see my sister when we were sitting at the table, though we were sitting across from each other. Lots of pasta. And the noise, oh, the conversation never ended. Oh, there's constant passing of plates and clattering of dishes. And Mama and Papa, they wanted to know everything we had done. all day. No detail was too small for them. Oh, they'd be listening intently, wanting to know so much. And then, they might make a comment. And all of our conversation at the table was in Piedmontese, because Mama never learned to speak English. But they might hear us say something, and Papa might say, "Questa è stata la cosa intelligente da fare." Oh, that was a smart thing to do. Or you might hear, "Cosa sia, you deserved it." Or my favorite, which was, "Oh, questo è carino." Oh, that's nice. The conversations never ceased. They went back and forth, and I can remember not only the mounds of pasta, but the smells, the aromas. Oh, the pungent aromas of Mama's cooking. My mouth waters now, all these years later, just remembering them. Mama Rosa was a good cook. There'd come a point in the meal where we would see Papa push his chair back, the signal that eating was over. We'd watch as Papa would pour himself a small glass of red wine. He'd pick up a thin Italian cigar, uncommonly potent. And then he would look at us. I mean, really look at us for what seemed an eternity. All of us children were at times unnerved by how Papa would just look at us for so long. We were waiting for him to say something, anything, but he just looked. And then sometimes he would share with us why. He said, "You are all growing up. You're growing up so fast. If I don't stop and really look at you, you will have grown up, and I will have missed it." Oh, to be looked at so deeply, so lovingly. And then Papa would look at one of the children. This was the point we dreaded, where we had to come forward with what we had learned. If he was calling on me that night first, he would say Felice. He would never call me Leo. All my friends did, but it was always Felice for Papa. "Felice, what did you learn today?" "Papa," I sat up straight when I was called on. "Today I learned that the population of Nepal is 10 million people, 10,574,432 people." And Papa would take that in and consider it as if the salvation of the world depended on what I had just said. So, oh, Felice, that's good. That's good. "Mama, did you know that about Nepal?" Mama, at the other end of the table, about that point in the meal, would have sliced some fruit, and she'd be sort of dragging it through the last of her wine, something she enjoyed at the end of a meal. "Nepal? No, Papa. I did not know that about Nepal." "Papa, I do not know where in God's earth Nepal is." Papa would laugh. "Felice, get the atlas." And I got up and I ran to the den and I got the atlas and brought it back. And already Mama and Papa were up. And with my brother and my two sisters, they'd cleared one end of the table so we could open the atlas. Remember how big atlases were? We opened it up. And all of us would begin the search for Nepal. When we'd found Nepal, and we'd all read that little block that tells you about Nepal, then the atlas could be put away. And then it'd be time for the next child to be asked, "What did you learn today?" And Mama and Papa answered the question too. So no meal at our house ever ended without us being enlightened by 6 such experiences, 6 facts being brought forward and shared in the family. Now, as children, I've got to tell you, we thought it was crazy. We could hear the other children out in the street playing a raucous game of kick the can, and we wanted to be out there. But we would never have even considered not doing what Papa had asked. Sometimes we would be at the table for just a few minutes. It would go very quickly. But other times we were there for over an hour. And we didn't realize, we really didn't know at that time what a gift we were being given. By our spending all that time together, we were growing together. We were being a part of each other's education. And Papa, by looking at us the way he did, listening to us, honoring what we said, he gave each one of us a real sense of dignity. Papa was giving us an education we couldn't have gotten any other way. He said to us many times, how long we live is limited, but how much we learn isn't. What we learn is what we become. I remember Papa. I remember him at the table. I remember how close our family grew together. When I went to university, I decided fairly early on to become a professor. And once I became a professor, I was nervous. The first time I got in front of those big classes at University of Southern California, 300 people in the class. And I knew these were brilliant young people. But still, I saw them making mistakes. Foolishness. Coming to class, clearly having partied all night, sometimes still hungover. And I watched them do these different things that I knew weren't helpful for the way they wanted to live. And yet, what really changed my world was when one of my young students died by suicide. And that tore me apart. And that's when I decided my life had to change. And I went to the deans at USC, and they were quite surprised when I went in and I said, I want to teach a new class. I want to teach a class about life. I want to teach these children, these young students, how to live. We're teaching them about everything except how to live. We've got to change this. The deans were all for it, as long as it didn't cost the university anything more than the use of a room. So I created a course called Love 101. And people say I taught it. I didn't teach it. No, I led it. And everybody that came, and it was small at first, just 20 people. But everybody was invited to talk, and what they realized quickly is the conversations would be steered so that everybody could share anything that was giving them a challenge. And in our talks, we found out that we weren't alone. Other people shared the same challenges. I urge them, don't think about forever. Pay attention to now, to the present, and forever will take care of itself. Well, through teaching that class, when Leo taught Love 101, the word got out, and after that, every time he offered it, it filled. His books were on the bestseller lists. He was suddenly being asked to speak all over the world. And what people wanted to hear about is what he loved to teach. Love. How to be present in this world. How to give yourself to others. Leo said once, sometimes now that I'm older, I get home from a long working day's adventure and I'm tired. Sometimes I'll just put my briefcase down in the living room, maybe in the kitchen, and I head upstairs to bed without any supper. And when my head hits the pillow, just before I go to sleep, I'll see the face of my dear departed Papa. And he will look at me and he'll say, Felice, what did you learn today? There are days I realize I have not learned a thing. I turn the light back on, I throw the covers back, I get out of bed and go to the bookshelf, and I sit on the edge of the bed with my reading light, and I read until I have learned something new. Then I put the book away, and I lay back down, knowing that now Papa and I can both have a sound night's sleep. Knowing that I have not wasted the day, I learned something new. Papa said, "We are all born into this world ignorant. It's not our fault. But if we leave it the same way, that is our fault." I just wanted to share with you some of my fond recollections of Leo and some of his words. Because when I've watched his videos, when I've read his books, it's like waves of inspiration for me. And they lift me up. And I'm hoping those waves of inspiration may have reached you also. And I hope maybe Leo is somewhere looking and maybe saying, "Oh, questo è carino. Oh, that's good." Thank you. Thank you. We are going to take an intermission, and let's see, there is one restroom here that we use during intermission. Gretchen told you about the other two, one upstairs and one through the instrument room. As you go back, if you go through that area, in the hallway, there are displays that tie into different stories, some which you have not heard, that you will hear later tonight, including some like wristbands that say "You Matter" or "Don't give up." There's buttons, and if you'd like to take them, please do. There are some more of these out there. We just want to get these out everywhere we can. Celebration will be the third Saturday in November. Our shows are usually the second. We'll be on the 18th. There will be 6 tellers that night. And Celebration, so you know, is a worldwide celebration of storytelling. The events will travel all around the world. And we're happy to be doing ours right here at Artichoke Cafe. There's also some posters there, so if you have a place you could put up a poster to help us advertise it, please take one. So we'll see you in 10 minutes, and please enjoy using the bar. Thank you very much.